On May 14, 1941, two babies were born: Kadin, Maddi, a small boy from Palestine, and a Jewish premature girl, Madeline. They were born in two different countries, but little did they know they'd be crossing paths eventually and wreaking havoc in their communities. Soon after Madeline was born, her parents moved to Palestine to start a new life. Madeline grew up playing with other children in her community in Palestine. On her fourth birthday, she bumped foreheads with a boy whom she later nicknamed Rosh Gadol, or Big Head in Hebrew, because of that moment. That boy was Kadin Maddi. After they both bumped foreheads and screamed in pain, Kadin and Madeline sat together and had a lovely conversation about the colors in the sky. From that day forward, Kadin and Madeline were inseparable no matter what the circumstances were. Their circumstances were rough. The United Nations separated the territory of Palestine into separate Palestinian and Jewish states when they were 6. On that same day, the two went outside to play a game. One day, when they were 7, Kadin and Madeline awoke to news that their country was at war over Palestinian territory. Because Madeline's family lives illegally in Palestinian territory, they were persecuted during Israel's War of Independence, even though they were on the Palestine side. Because Palestine was still technically under the rule of British and the UN, and the British wanted to divide the country up by religion, her family wasn't safe from the Brits or from Palestinian soldiers outside their community. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians had to leave their territories, including the territory where Kadin and Madeline lived. While leaving, Kadin's parents and his other siblings were murdered by Jewish soldiers. With no other place to go, Madeline's family took him in and smuggled him in Jewish territory. Tensions were running high for the rest of the year, and no specific border had been established. The Schillers became worried that their family was in danger, so they immigrated to the United States. This upset the two children because they loved their old community. That night, Kadin and Madeline arrived at Ellis Island. They promised each other that when everything died down, they would go back. Many years passed. Madeline graduated from college and became a nurse like she always wanted to be. Kadin owned 4 local drugstores and obtained wealth relatively quickly. The two married in 1967, the first year that interracial marriages were allowed in the United States, and, coincidentally, on the first day of the 6 Days War, a war that took place over territory. Israel took over the West Bank, the Sinai Peninsula, the Golan Heights, and the Gaza Strip, where Madeline and Kadin were from. At the end of the 6 Days War, on their honeymoon, Madeline and Kadin made a pact that they would go back one day, no matter what. They waited year after year. Decades and decades passed. They had children and even grandchildren. In 1993, they were filled with hope. The first Oslo Accord was born. The Oslo Accords are a set of agreements between the government of Israel and the Palestine Liberation Organization, signed between 1993 and 1995. It gave the Palestinians limited self-governance over West Bank and their homeland, the Gaza Strip. Madeline and Kadin were very excited that they would finally get to go back after over 40 years in the United States. The Abadis finally started packing when the Camp David summit took place. The Palestinian Authority chairman, Yasser Arafat, the Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, and President Bill Clinton met in July of 2000 to negotiate the land of Jerusalem, which was the first time a prime minister ever agreed to sit down and discuss the territory since 1967. The couple assumed that they could be safe because of how the media portrayed the situation in Israel. The two packed their bags and went home to the Gaza Strip. What they didn't know is that they were going home to turmoil. Madeline worked in a local hospital to aid injured Palestinian children. Kadin was unable to find a job where he wouldn't be persecuted, so he eventually gave up. Not even 2 months later, Jerusalem was under attack while the couple was there visiting. On October 8th, the first night of Yom Kippur, Madeline and Kadin were gunned down for merely holding hands. They both lost their lives that night. Israeli-Palestinian romantic relationships continue to be pretty much non-existent in the region, mostly because it's so dangerous, but Madeline and Kadin's relationship lives on through the efforts to make peace between Israelis and Palestinians. Thank you for watching.